So it all started in my childhood, and one of the fondest memories, actually. I grew up as a pastor's kid, and that's not always easy, but it was fun. And my dad always ingrained messages into everything. And then it started with camp as well, the Bible, and just learning the Bible day by day, going doing devotions with the family, and now I went to camp, and then I was trying to win Bible awards and memorize 100 scriptures and thinking that I was nailing it in my Christianity. And I actually thought, like, this is it. This is all you have to do. You have to memorize scripture, and then you get an award, and you carry around this trophy, and now you're extremely spiritual. And then after that, I went to high school. I was like, well, I know my Bible. Obviously, if you memorize 100 scriptures in 1 week, you're doing something. And then I started to study because I started to teach at FCA and this thing called Fish at Jersey Village High School. And it seemed okay. Everything seemed to be all right until I finally started to experience and recognize the need for God's grace and intimacy with God. I honestly thought I was earning it by teaching it, by memorizing it in youth group, being a youth leader, all the things that you thought would be necessary for the credence or the merit of God. And then finally, after college and doing my college experience and making sure I kept teaching Bible study and doing the things you thought would be holy, I don't think I learned my lesson yet. And I finally went to seminary, again, expanding upon academia, expanding upon God, going to Dallas Theological Seminary thinking that I was going to understand God. And I learned all the Greek and the Hebrew and struggled through that, barely made it, but like I did it. And did all the theology classes, knew all the words, all the ologies. And it finally hit me right on graduation day. And I was sitting in the seat and they were calling out names. And God kind of just pricked my heart and it was clear as day. Like you've done all these studies for a long time, for 7 years, which lets you know how long it took me. But you still don't know me well. And it was hurtful, but it was truthful. That the intimacy with God can be hidden in academia and also in teaching the Bible and doing clubs and learning scriptures and going to camp and everything that you thought was necessary in order to be spiritual. But then it really hit me when I started to teach youth and experience and need God's grace as I was married and had kids, and how do I teach it, how do I experience it, but not just as teaching my kids, but intimately discovering God with them. And it changed my life. So now when I do devotions, it changed. I used to do it just to learn more, to teach more, to do Bible studies more, but now it's really about, God, what do you want to teach me today? And I even shortened the amount of scriptures I read just to get intimate with God, just to close my eyes and pray and go into solitude and just to hear God's voice through his scriptures. And it's more to speak to me first before I speak to somebody else. When I preach, I want to be convicted first before I try to convict anyone else. And then I also experience God's grace through his text. I kind of think of it as like a love letter now. It used to be more of a book that I read in academia, but now I get to experience the intimacy through God's love letter to us.